Interested in increasing your intuition? Well, I'm going to share with you my top 7 ways to do that. Stay tuned. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name's Fola, and here on Deep Mind Squared, we talk all things bridging mental wellness and spirituality for nurses. I was asked a question the other day about how people can start to increase their intuition and what are some things that I've found supportive on my journey. So I wanted to share some of those with you today. Obviously, this is just my personal experience. I think it's really important, as with anything with intuition, that you listen to what's best for you. So take all this with a grain of salt and feel free to let us know in the comments what you think about any of the suggestions and what maybe you found very supportive on your journey. Before we get into it, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell as well so that you're updated on future video releases. Everyone's born with this innate knowing, and that's what it is when we're talking about intuition. Some people talk about the third eye, and in shamanism, we identify the intuition as really coming from that place like the womb space, or this place just below the belly button, where we also hear that phrase like, just trust your gut. There's something that's kind of in that centered place that allows us to know, hey, is this like accurate information I'm receiving right now, or is there something else going on? So it's really about reconnecting us to that womb space. And even if you're a man or identify as a man, like this place just below the belly button, it's like our gut. That is the place in which we can learn to listen for answers. And we ask questions, we're going to get answers. So what are my top ways to build intuition? I would have to say that first off would be meditation, which many people don't like. I understand it's not always the easiest thing to find those like periods of quiet and all that, but there's something so important about meditating. It's about stilling and like quieting our mind just enough that all that noise and other stuff that's not really relevant can just kind of float away, and then those intuitive answers or those hits can come up for us. I think it doesn't really matter how much you meditate. Some people feel the need to meditate for an hour. Some people are good with 5 minutes. It's really what you find the most beneficial for you. I like to do this in the morning when I first wake up, and I have my own like ritual routine that I go by, but it really helps to just quiet the mind and ground down and really connect. The next one I've really enjoyed that some people might say is the same as meditation, I would beg to differ, is doing a blindfold exercise or sitting in complete darkness. This is a very powerful technique, and if you don't have a blindfold or you feel like that might be too overwhelming for you, I would really encourage you to just sit. Just sit half an hour doing nothing. No phone, no technology, no reading a book, no music. Just sit there with yourself. And it's in that place of just sitting that other things can come up as well. So meditation and this exercise are very similar, but it depends on the type of meditation that you are engaging in, because there's so many different forms. With this daily practice of just sitting blindfolded or quiet, it's really going to open up to new understandings about yourself. And when we can start to heal some of these wounds or kind of inner pieces of ourselves, then that helps strengthen that intuition. There's just less noise. So down to something a little lighter now. Another thing that I found really helpful in terms of supporting and building my intuition has been to find more creativity and playfulness. We can be so like strict and focused on like tasks and all that fun stuff. Here, I'm calling it fun, so it shows you how much I am that person. But this is about us connecting to just the playful feminine side. And it's actually that feminine side that has all that intuition. So when I say feminine, there's this concept of feminine and masculine energies. Doesn't mean you have to be a man or a woman. It's like we all have these aspects within us as humans, and it's about balancing. So whereas the masculine energy is much more task focused or goal directed, the feminine energy is much more intuitive and receptive. So by going into that feminine creativity, whether it's playing an instrument or creating art, I enjoy dancing, like just moving the body, finding that flow. It can really support us in tuning in more to the flow state, which helps us to tap in more to our intuition. Definitely check that out. A lot of people find that when they're doing art, then all these sorts of ideas can come in, or these sort of understandings about next steps. And ultimately, that's what our intuition's guiding us on this path. One of my favorite pieces is going into different forms of energy work or doing guided processes of opening up the chakras. So the chakras are our energy centers, and the chakras are all connected to different endocrine glands and our hormonal systems. So you can look that up. This goes back through other Eastern ancient traditional like healing modalities. But when we can connect to the chakras and use visualization to imagine different colors at each of the chakra points, and as if we're cleansing and opening up each of those chakras, it can support us in opening our intuition. And of course, there's chakra points at that space at the womb, and also in our third eye, in our heart, on our crown, so forth. So if we can open up those points, then we're opening ourselves up to more of that flow of the energy of the universe, and opening ourselves up to listen to the energy moving within us. It's really powerful. I have a chakra balancing meditation on the channel. I'll link that here so you can check that out. And now, if we want to get into a bit more of the explorative side of altered states, first I'm going to share something that I found really helpful and can be a bit of a push for some people's comfort level. But one thing I found is to do more like channeling and automatic writing. And this might not be for the faint of heart. Again, this is a reminder that, just because we can do some things doesn't mean we should. But when I talk about channeling or automatic writing, it's really about us just allowing the flow of whatever is coming through to move from us, wherever it's coming from, this energy, from into our hand and into the pen and onto a piece of paper. So you can spend maybe 15 minutes kind of going through a meditative state and just grounding yourself, and then spend some time just starting to journal, just writing out whatever comes to you. Don't even think about it. It's like really it's important to just let the mind kind of go in this process and just keep writing. And eventually it's going to feel as though something or someone is kind of taking over the pen or your writing, and this is what is meant by automatic writing. A beautiful thing you can do with this is you can start to ask questions and see what comes out in a written answer. And I do this work, but mostly I just do it with like intuitively channeling, just saying whatever, asking questions and seeing what rises up as a response. At first it might seem a little uncomfortable, or you might be doubting, hey, is this even accurate information that I'm getting? Be playful with it. We don't need to hold this as truth. Definitely don't ask very intense questions right off the bat of like, should I sell my house, or should I divorce this person or whatever, because you never know what's really coming up there. And this is part of that learning to listen to what's your intuition, what is it telling you, and how can you learn to trust it. Next, one of my favorites would be around plant medicines. Something that's really supported me in connecting deeper to the intuition and listening to my body, and also through healing, has been cannabis. And this means us using it consciously. I believe that when people use cannabis, it opens up their minds to things beyond the veil of this reality. And when we can do that, we can really tap into the energy streams of what the universe is kind of guiding us to. So people use different forms of psychedelics and plant medicines to connect to their intuition. I believe it's really because it's helping us to heal some of the wounds, healing some of that distrust that we might have in ourselves, and open us to accepting more of our own life and the journey that we're on. Definitely, those plant medicines have been something that have been supportive for me. And lastly, I guess this might not really be a specific like technique that you could implement to really build your intuition, but it is super important. And that is to start to trust yourself. I remember reading somewhere, and this is one technique that they say can be really beneficial for people who are trying to build their intuition, is to carry a little notebook with you and write down every time something happens that maybe is a proof for you that your intuition was right. One thing I've noticed a lot in my life, even when I was younger, is I would like think about someone calling and then they would call. And I always found that very neat to think, oh, like, why would I pick up on that? Is that we're just so connected, or like, is there something else happening? And now I'm the point I'm at in my life, I can see this going on way more regularly than I thought it did. And it's so beautiful to like just think about someone and then them them reach out or come up in some way in like my physical reality. And then we have a conversation and they confirm to me like, oh yeah, like I was thinking about you and I thought about reaching out to you, or da 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 da. And it's just like so weird to me. These sorts of experiences are what I'm talking about, is listening to the intuition. You already know. It's all inside you already. We just doubt ourselves. So trust it. Write it down. Acknowledge that these things are happening. It's not a coincidence. That's like another thing to let it all go, that thought that, no, this can't be, and just learn to trust. And the more that we can practice these different techniques, the more the intuition starts to really get louder, and we can listen and trust it and move forward on that path. So those are my favorite ways to build intuition. Feel free to let us know in the comments, what are some of yours and what's really supported you on your own journey. And until the next video, I will talk with you all soon. Bye.